and ourselves were the ones that did some presentations in terms of how we see this affecting us. So as it stands now, unless there is something really dramatic that happened, this system is heading our way. It is likely to become a hurricane sometime today, but trending seems to be that it is likely to dissipate into a tropical storm later on. We are not taking this for granted because we've seen this in the past, 2017, 2019, systems developing rapidly from tropical depression into storms and moving from category 1, 3 to 5 very quickly. So we are treating this as most serious. Yesterday, we convened a meeting of the National Emergency Advisory Council, and we discussed the general parameters and the threat to Grenada, and we had some position on that. That followed through from a consultation which we had 2 weeks ago that gave a national perspective. Because of the imminent threat, an emergency meeting is called for 9 o'clock this morning. It is now in progress. They are waiting me to return, and we are looking at some peculiarities as it pertains to that. One, we'll be discussing the opening of shelters. We'll be discussing lockdown period and the emergency conditions with what we call curfew, etc. We'll be discussing when ports and seaports, etc., are likely to be closed and the general information that we are going to be giving to the public. These are some critical things. What is most important to us in this process is how we are integrating the COVID-19 situation. So health will give us a status as to what PPEs are available, thermometers, etc., for testing, and the teams that are supposed to be working on these shelters, we are going to be mobilizing them. There are some persons in quarantine at this moment, so that will form part of the discussion as to how we treat with it. After this meeting, I am sure there will be a release. The minister with responsibility for disaster management, he is leading the discussion, and all the stakeholders are on board, including the telecommunication providers and the general information hub. We are discussing the issues, and so we'll bring information to the nation pertinent as to how we treat this situation later on today.
Before I let you run off, Mr. McIntyre, just a short while ago, St. Vincent was placed under hurricane watch, and that has some people in Grenada jittery. Why hasn't Grenada been placed under hurricane watch, and is this something that may happen by the end of today?
Yes, it is very likely it will happen today. St. Vincent is under a different warning structure in terms of how they get the information, from what end they get it. And Grenada, based on the WMO's arrangement, the World Meteorological Organization, our warning structure comes through Trinidad. So we would be, and St. Vincent's own comes through Barbados. The mere fact that Barbados is already on watch, it doesn't surprise me that St. Vincent has also already been placed. So we are looking very seriously as to how we treat Carriacou as well, because you know that Carriacou is very close to St. Vincent. So that is a discussion. So today, the warning period is based on proximity, distance, and time. So based on the time and the distance, the system is at now. Sometime today, the watch will come. Whether it is hurricane or it is storm, one of these warnings definitely will come, because based on the current path, Grenada is definitely a line of threat.
And the news release, hopefully, that will come out today would also include the list of shelters and precautions that people need to take into consideration, especially during these COVID times, yes?
Yes, considering some of the limitations we had with COVID, where we had to do isolation centers and we had to look at the safe distancing protocol, etc., the list of shelters went into cabinet a bit later than it normally would. So cabinet will definitely have a special sitting to look at it. And so we will give people an indication as to where these shelters are. We do have the list of shelters. It is a bit smaller than the last time around as primary shelters, but we do have others in the event that we are impacted, the secondary ones, that they can be used as well. We are currently looking at outfitting these shelters with different items so that once they're activated, people can get to them quite safely. But let me use this word immediately, that once shelters are open, people need to be prepared to come with the items for COVID protocol, meaning a covering, face covering, and your sanitation items, and to prepare as though you're going for a little camp out, to have your sleeping items, your water supply, and some little food that you would need to have for 3 to 5 days. Those are some basic things once the shelters are activated. And it has to be done early enough, not in the mad rush. So once we have given the warning, it means that shelters will be open and persons are expected once they feel unsafe or otherwise, to occupy these shelters. Our teams have already been informed.
Thank you very much, Mr. McIntyre. I'll let you get back to the emergency meeting and keep us updated as we prepare for Gonzalo.
Definitely. So thank you very much. I will engage your audiences later on again.
Thank you very much. Have a good one. Sorry, that was Coordinator of the National Disaster Management Agency, Sylvan McIntyre, as Grenada braces for landfall for Tropical Storm Gonzalo, which is we are expected to experience some of the effects by tomorrow night into Saturday. Let us take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'm going to hear from our viewers and listeners of how they are preparing for Tropical Storm Gonzalo when he makes landfall. This is To The Point on Classic GBN Hot 98. We'll be right back.
GBN Television News at 7, a pulse on all things Grenadian. Look out for our new features through expanded synergies with our media partners in Barbados, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Trinidad, and beyond. Capturing the latest in news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Credible, informative. Thank you for making us number one. News at 7, live, Monday to Friday on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11, K105.5 and 105.9, Hot 98.5 and 98.7, GBN Television Facebook page and YouTube channel, and www.gbn.gd. GBN, with you anywhere and everywhere.
Let's Cook Grenada, a practical culinary guide to local cuisine. Learn new ways to prepare your favorite foods or try different menus from various locations across the island. Let's Cook, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on GBN Television, Channel 7 and 11, GBN's Facebook page, and GBN's YouTube channel. If you miss it, catch the repeat Thursdays at 10 a.m. and Sundays at 3:30 p.m.
You've spoken, we have heard. Now we're making more time available for your evening primetime shows on K105. From Monday, July 6th, Your Law will air from 6 to 7 p.m. On Tuesdays, Simply Agriculture. And on Wednesdays, join discussions on constitution reform in partnership with Island Media. At 5:55 p.m., we bring you news headlines, a capsule on local, regional, and international events, followed by News at 7 via simulcast with GBN Television. Join Godfrey Augustine for stimulating discussions on Release It from 8 p.m. on Wednesdays and Thursdays. GBN's K105.5 and 105.9. We're with you everywhere and anywhere. If you're on the move, catch us online at www.gbn.gd.
Hello and welcome to the OECS Link.
A conversation is a talk. Informal but informed.
Hello, Dr. Jules.
Hi, how are you?
Between two or more people in which news and ideas are exchanged.
A lot of adjustments have to happen at every level.
Coming to you from around the Eastern Caribbean, join us every week on this station as we build relationships that uplift our region.
And I would encourage persons
Welcome back to The Point for today, Thursday, July 23rd, 2020. We just heard from Coordinator at the National Disaster Management Agency, Sylvan McIntyre, as Grenada prepares for Tropical Storm Gonzalo. Officials are currently in an emergency meeting, and some information is expected to be disseminated later today as officials keep their eye on the weather system. In the meantime, I want to hear from you, our viewers and listeners, on how you are preparing for Tropical Tropical Storm Gonzalo. As little as they may be or as major as they may be, share with us so the rest of us can possibly get some tips on how to brace ourselves. According to Mr. McIntyre, however, the system is expected to be upgraded to hurricane status later today, but by the time it gets to the southern Windward Islands or the southern Caribbean, it should dissipate a little bit back down to tropical storm status at least. But nevertheless, we still need to be prepared. So let's go to our first caller as we hear preparations for Tropical Storm Gonzalo. Good morning.
Blossom, good morning.
Good morning.
How can we prepare for the storm if we don't have no water in the pipe?
So that's the only preparation you need to do?
But no, other things are prepared, but there's no water in the pipe.
So you could do the other things still until you get the water to do what needs to be done with the water?
Yes, we can. So ask now water to open the pipe, please, to collect water.
Where are you residing?
In Good Hope.
Okay.
Thank you.
If you don't have water as yet or in the pipes for now, do whatever else needs to be done in the meantime. Don't just wait on the water before you do everything else. The water situation has been a problem in Good Hope for some time. So hopefully Nawasa is hearing your plea at the moment. Let me check the social media. There was a comment on Facebook. Are there protocols one has to follow for hurricane shelters? It may be difficult to adhere to the 6 feet distancing. Earlier this month, the first Monday in this month, so that's just over 2.5 weeks ago, we hosted Public Relations Officer of the National Disaster Management Agency, Oslin Crossley, and she said there are protocols in place for shelters, including the setting up of sanitization centers and ensuring the shelters have what they need to keep people safe during these COVIDious times. But as Mr. McIntyre just advised, members of the public who are using the shelters can walk with their own supplies, including your hurricane emergency needs, as well as hand sanitizers, of course, your masks, gloves if possible, because the people who you may be in the shelters with may not be immediate family alone, and you don't know where these people came from, the other people, who they are, and so on and so forth. So protect yourselves, especially if you are going to the shelters. Let me go back to the phone lines. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Blossom.
Good morning.
And how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. What I have to say is, I remember Ivan. A lot of people just went looting, and the police wasn't prepared. I want the people to know that the police are prepared. If they go and start looting, they will lose their life. The police will shoot. So just warn them from now. In the event there's a disaster, no looting, because the police won't take it like Ivan time. Okay, my dear, you take care.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you for your participation. A conversation I had with a few people in relation to that same looting, they spoke about people were not prepared. Prior to Hurricane Ivan, most of us in Grenada, we were complacent and lackadaisical about everything. I woke up that Tuesday morning getting ready to go to work, to be honest. So a lot of people were not prepared when it came to food stuff, which contributed to people's need to get it where they can, which led to looting. Now I think people are more mentally prepared to do what they need to ensure that they can survive in the event that we end up in another situation like that. Even if you hear it's a tropical storm or a tropical wave, once they hear it's a something, Grenadians, 2004 has taught us to prepare yourself, no matter what level of system is getting ready to affect the island. So they've been going out and getting their food stuff and everything else that they may need. So I don't think there'll be as much looting. That's me personally, and well, the conversation I had. I don't think there'll be much looting because people would be prepared and have food stuff at home, so they don't need to go and hunt for it. Let me see if there are other comments. There's a comment on WhatsApp. Grenada does not have hurricane shelters. We use schools and community centers as shelters. It's high time we build hurricane shelters. Back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm the take it easy.
All right, take it easy.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't leave in my home and go nowhere. I stick in it. May the Almighty do His work.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, caller. She's not going to a shelter, she's staying home. How are you prepared to brace for the passage of Tropical Storm Gonzalo this weekend? What preparations are you putting in place for yourself and your family? Somebody on Facebook says, the drains aren't clean. I empathize with those that are residing close to the roads. River Road Cup is the first that comes to mind, followed by residents in Balthazar, because even whatever level system comes to Grenada, it is coming with lots of water. So these two places are the first two that come to mind when I think of the people who are in flood-prone areas. Back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Yes, Blossom, me here, Tanti.
Hi, Tanti.
Are they hanging in the name of the Lord? Because I live under a big mango tree. And the branches always coming down. There's a time it comes down, it meet right in the front of the house. The telephone lines is underneath it. The cable line is the telephone and the electricity most important. At time it bring it right down. And I tell them I couldn't stay with her, let's say come and fix it the same evening. But when I ask Brendan to cut the branches that hanging over the line, they always tell me, oh, they can't trim it down in a cutting bin because it's people own. You rather to save a mango tree with branches coming down to kill someone to take a life. Greenlake have to understand. I cannot pay people to come and cut the mango tree. I rented the spot. But the mango tree is there and the branches are always breaking. It's always coming down on the line. Somebody when I wake up in the morning, a big branch is down. I am afraid of the current going or the electricity line is coming on, touching the ground. One time it come right down, I have to call them. I talk to Grand like every year. I put it to them. I say the mango tree is right there, and the branches are hanging right over the line. It's above it, and the line is not to say it's settled. You know, it just kind of sink down. So all my lines is there, but most important, the electricity. This is a danger one. I don't want that fire to burn me down. I don't want to burn to death. I don't even want to go to hellfire because I'm working for God. I don't want to go there. Nobody wants fire to burn them. I am afraid of electricity because it's burning houses, and that is what takes away life. This burning thing is not good for people like me. So living in a place with branches coming down on you and the people not coming and secure. You have to secure the lives of people, not the tree. It's not to say it's a Ceylon or a Julia or a Long, or they just call it Calvin mango. We don't have that. The mango tree is there. People come pick up the mango, they eat it. But the branches are hand-bugging me. I'm afraid of them. I live alone, and I'm 84 years. I don't have any company that I to turn to more than God. And this wasn't for my God, I wouldn't be here today. Because He secured me from the branches. They come right down, something they don't touch your house. So I'm afraid of the branches. Let Grand Lake know they must send people to trim these branches with the hanging down of the line coming down to touch the ground. It's there, and the branches have to come out from over it. The tree could cut down, and they don't have to cut it down. They could trim some of the branches from it. And don't say to wait on the people because the owner of this land is not here. I'm here, but they are not here. And it's not my tree, but I'm renting the spot, and I'm paying a land rent for it. So I need them to cut the branches. Come see what the line is doing. This is storm, hurricane, and we have to be prepared. I don't want to be prepared for a line coming on my house, coming on and meet me on the ground. I don't want that. So let's go like no. They must come cut the branches for Tanti. Blossom?
Okay, Tanti.
Because your Tanti is in danger and you know how you love your Tanti. You want her to be around with you for a long time.
Yes.
Tanti, Blossom, I had a news yesterday. There is 3 sisters. One live 105. The other one live 101. And the other one is 99 years. And they're still in God's will. Because God gave you long life. It's yours. It's not to be able to take it away from you. So you must learn to live with love and help one another. The elders, you help them. You secure them because you don't want them to die. You say, okay, this is an elder lady and I didn't help her. Lord said help one another.
Okay.
Have a blessed day, darling.
Thank you, Zanti. You have yourself a good one as well. We are speaking about preparation for Tropical Storm Gonzalo. According to the 8 a.m. intermediate advisory, hurricane watch is in effect for Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines because hurricane conditions are possible within the watch area by Saturday afternoon. Interest in Windward Island should continue to monitor the progress of the system. At 8 a.m. it was located over the Atlantic about 910 miles east of the southern Windward Islands. phone lines. Good morning.
Alexis Welch, good morning. Good morning.
Morning, go ahead, please.
Yeah, listen, one of the things I think people need to do, we have so many cars in this country right now. I mean, literally thousands, and a lot of the small roads that we don't have a good access parking for people who have their cars. And I think people need to get their cars parked elsewhere in case of an emergency, because emergency vehicles cannot go through some of these small roads like the even the size of one of those SSU small truck, you know, much less a fire truck or an ambulance. So my advice is that people who have their vehicles, once there's a warning in place that they need to park their vehicles, whether it's in a pasture or just keep all access roads available in case that we have an emergency, so we can transit people or the police and volunteers and so on. And this needs to be done immediately, you know, because it's just indiscriminate parking. People building their houses, they're not considering having a park. And I think physical planning have to take a fresh look at that. You know, if you're building a house, make sure you have adequate parking, or else we cannot approve your plan, you know, and that kind of thing. So I'm just advocating that the people really need to take this very, very serious. You know, parking, we have a warning out. Get your cars off these access roads, park them in a pasture, or find somewhere to park them so that we don't have calamity coming. Thanks.
Thank you very much, caller. I agree with you 100%. I think a lot of vehicle owners and drivers are inconsiderate with their parking. Sometimes they feel once my vehicle could fit here, I'll make it how all it could. And I agree with you, especially in the by roads that are not fit enough for two vehicles to pass, 2-lane traffic, much less a size of truck like the fire truck or the ambulance or another emergency vehicle. So I agree with you 100%, caller. Let me go back by the phone lines. Somebody on Facebook is also agreeing with you, caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Welsh.
Good morning.
This is Ron Redhead here.
Good morning, Mr. Redhead.
I just want to wish the country safety. Of course, this is something that I spoke of. I don't normally do that, but it has become a reality. And I just want to say to NADM, I hope that they remain focused, they coordinate the thing well, and I wish them all the best. This is an important time, and we may require a central communicating point, a hotline, that kind of thing. So they must move very speedily to fix and sort that out. Of course, it's COVID times, and we must also be mindful of the various protocols, all these other things. The electrical company, Grenlec, I know they would try their best, certainly, to secure, shut off the electricity, that sort of thing. And I just wish them the very best. The country, we are resilient people, and we certainly can overcome this. But I hope that, this would not be a disastrous scene, and I hope that people would take the precautions seriously and try and protect lives, try and protect property as best as they can. So just to Grenada, be safe and be smart. Let's just try to protect one another during this period. All the best.
Thank you very much, Mr. Redhead. Thank you for your participation and your contribution to the conversation. Appreciate it. Let me double check the social media to make sure. Somebody on Facebook says, I think that comment was on Good Morning this morning. There is a busted pipe in PT Martinique, which is a source of water on the island. Can NOWASA check it out, please? Rita, have you contacted NOWASA yourself as well? Just inquiring. Sometimes we hope they know and we wish they know, and sometimes they don't. So if you haven't already, contact NOWASA themselves, just in case none of them is tuned into the program this morning. Let me go back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Good.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so just a concern that we have at the Dunfermline housing scheme, there is this big drain that one time there was this rain and it flooded so much that it flooded people's apartments and stuff. And the drain is blocked at the moment, we are asking housing kindly to come and unblock it since this weather and stuff is coming. You never know when again after now. So it's possible that housing authority can come and unblock this big drain because it's essential drain to avoid flooding and damage to the apartments at the downstairs.
How long has it been blocked?
Well, the grass grow up and everything in it. It being blocked. The last time they unblocked it, when was this heavy rain and it flooded all over the place. So that's maybe a year and some now.
And have the residents contacted the ministry as well, whether it's housing or works?
Well, I think the residents spoke to Housing Authority about it.
Okay, just curious. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right. I just curious. I asked the questions because sometimes we wait on authorities when we could maybe do it ourselves. It's a community drain used by the community, as she said, important to the community. I'm not saying that they have to do the work, but sometimes we don't need to always wait on the authorities to do what we need to protect our own selves and our environment. If possible, maybe 2, 5, 10 residents can come together and clean the drains themselves. Yes, it's the responsibility of, I think, the responsibility of the ministry, but that shouldn't stop you from wanting to do it or needing to do it yourselves. I'm just saying. Let me double check. All right, so somebody on Facebook. Why are the people who are in charge of disaster always complacent? We have seen it a number of years where we in the hurricane and yet not a shelter being announced. Why are we always waiting on the last minute? It happened last year. Okay, somebody else. Let's go back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Hello, morning, Blossom.
Good morning, how are you?
And how are you this morning?
I'm good.
Yeah, well, I want to make some important points because I was listening with the incident took place in Wester Hall. And a guy was saying that the ambulance was in the back of a vehicle, the siren was on, and from Calibini Road, Calibini to Woodlands, because most likely the car was going down to Woodlands and he go down there. The siren was on, and the car was driving so slow in front of the ambulance, which some people have to take into with consideration. Anytime you hear ambulance, we're going to learn to try to tell you about that ambulance. Pull aside and give the ambulance way to move because it's an emergency. How any other vehicle you're hearing with his hand on and the hazard on, pull aside because you handbugging the ambulance, which to me, you could be charged by the police for handbugging the ambulance. So you have to give way to the ambulance, the emergency vehicle. So we don't want that happen when the police move in, the ambulance move in. We are men parking the car on the road where we could handbug them vehicle on them. We don't want that at all because we need people to consider people's lives and other things of the sort. So I'm asking them to be considerate. Because what they like for themselves, they don't like it for others. That's my point this morning.
Thank you very much, caller, for your contribution. Let me browse the social media. Somebody on Facebook says, unless you're in the vulnerable population, you should not be cursing the government for food 2 days after a hurricane. Somebody else says, good morning, I'm filling my empty water and soft drink bottles as much as possible. I don't have water to bathe, but I need water to drink. Oh, I don't have to have water to bathe, but I need water to drink. I would like to advise people to do the same. And I have to buy my candles and matches today and keep my phone charged. Let's go back to the phone lines. We are speaking about preparing for Tropical Storm Gonzalo, which is expected to affect the southern Windward Islands by this weekend. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning, Blossom. How are you?
Morning, how are you?
To be honest, I ain't sure now, but listen, I'm getting straight to the point. And I have to I have to agree with you 1,000% plus when you made the statement a while ago about traveling on, I did COVID-19 still, traveling on buses especially with persons, some people following protocol and some not. The delinquent ones, I don't know why some of us head so hard. Let's say that this thing become airborne. What will happen to a lot of us? A lot of us who don't want to put a mask on our faces. I go into a panic when I'm on a bus and I see people coming on with the mask off totally. They didn't have it or below their chin or whatever. To be honest, if I'm walking alone, which most of the times I am, I have my mask with me. Wherever I go, I have my mask. I might not put it on because I'm walking by myself. I'm not interacting with anybody or anything like that. But as soon as I know I'm going into a crowd, or I'm getting on a bus, or I'm going to meet somebody, I put my mask on. And you made me panic this morning because the same words you use, I used it this morning when you referred to the person that called about the hurricane shelters and stuff like that, when you said you don't know who you'll be meeting there, you know where they come from or whatever. And it's the same thing that happened. I used those words this morning. I'm on a bus, and this gentleman come and sit right next to me. Not even a bandana, not even a maid scarf. And to be honest, I know it's my right and it's my choice. I could have get up and gone onto another bus. But I'm on my way to work and I want to get to work early. I say all this to say that a lot of people still forming the fool, and it would be unfair for persons to know that they are following the protocol, taking care of themselves, protecting themselves and families, and those that are out there don't care. What if they have it and they don't know, and I catch it, and then I innocently take it home to my family? It would be unfair for something like that to happen. So I think a little more have to be done with these persons, drivers, conductors, and people in general. Something more drastic needs to be done, because I am not honestly putting my life at risk for stubborn people like a lot of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. I tend to agree with you. There are people who are not taking this thing as serious as they should. I guess they figure government announced no confirmed cases or no medically tested cases of COVID, so they figure they're free to do what they want. Just a reminder, the borders are opened. We had international arrivals yesterday, regional arrivals since last week, Wednesday. We don't know who coming, what they coming with, where they coming from. Yes, there are precautions being taken with negative tests and hand sanitizers and quarantine, but anything is possible. I've seen stories with people saying they've taken the precautions and they still ended up with COVID-19 inadvertently. Anything is possible. I don't know. I don't know. Grenadians are stress me out sometimes. Serious talk. All that stress me out. Let me see what's on WhatsApp before I go back to the phone line. Somebody on WhatsApp says, we are under state of emergency, which has its own protocol, example gatherings. Now that we have an approaching tropical storm, how will these and others be addressed by the authorities? A news release is expected to be released later today with some more of this information. Officials are currently in an emergency meeting involving all the emergency personnel, including officials from NADMA, government, and other stakeholders. So that news release should be disseminated hopefully sooner rather than later. And somebody else says, tell people do not come and crowd up the gas stations as the storm gets closer. Don't wait until the last minute, because we have families to go home to, families and pillows. Families and pillows. So those of you who need to fill up your tanks, like myself, do them as early as possible and don't wait on last minute. Let me take this caller before I go to another break. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right.
Okay.
Now, I want to make the nation and people in the nation know this specifically clear. As much as we need to be prepared in times like this, it is necessary, we need to be prepared. But the main preparation is soul salvation, because whether or not we prepare, we get everything in preparation, and times like these pass, God is a terrible God, and his wrath is terrible. Whenever it passes, we all can get caught up into it. But if your soul is saved and you're in the rightful place with Jesus Christ, that is the main thing, because you know where you will be going from here. So I wait to God that mankind think of this mainly, which is soul salvation. Other things otherwise, yes, is necessary, but remember soul salvation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you for your contribution. Let me read 2 comments on Facebook. Somebody on Facebook says, please prepare, secure your valuables, stock up on water and non-perishables. Somebody else says, yes, it's true. The drivers always wait until the ambulance is right behind them before trying to pull over and then causing a pileup of traffic. And another Facebooker, I believe the people living in the scheme should come together and clean the drain. Their lives and property are at risk if the drain overflows. We cannot always wait or depend on the persons in authority to do for us. On that note, let's take another quick break and then we're going to come back and wrap up the program. This is To The Point, preparing for Tropical Storm Gonzalo. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to the OECS Link.
A conversation is a talk. Informal but informed.
Hello, Dr. Jules.
Hi, how are you?
Between 2 or more people in which news and ideas are exchanged.
A lot of adjustments have to happen at every level.
Coming to you from around the Eastern Caribbean, join us every week on this station as we build relationships that uplift our region.
And I would encourage persons to go to the OECS Facebook page.
Tell us what's happening in your country and your community.
Find us on all social media platforms.
Email your pictures and videos to media@oecs.int.
The OECS Link is powered by Republic Bank.
Wait to see my granddaughter.
Welcome back to The Point. We are talking about preparing for landfall for Tropical Storm Gonzalo, which is expected this weekend. Let's go right back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Now, we have a tendency to prepare for things that are likely to come. Now, everybody is preparing and perhaps wasting their money, spending their money uselessly, even spending money that they do not have. And when possible, the storm do not come, and the children or the people have eaten out all what they have bought, thinking that the storm would come, they are at a loss now as to what to do. I am not saying that you don't have to prepare, but you have to prepare. Someone called a few minutes back and said God is a what? Not merciful, you know, but the opposite of merciful. I don't know. You know, Blossom. I would say that God is a merciful God. He knows what is best for us. Maybe he's giving us warnings and we do not know. Maybe he's likely to send the virus, although some people saying that the virus has been made. But then once there is a God, he ought to know how to stop the virus, how to stop the storm, because we believe in him. What we might do now is to pray more that he would hear our words and consequently turn away the storm from the world, not from us. Because if you say from us, you're selfish, send it on to somebody else. I don't interested in that. Now, what is happening with us? We spend too much excessively on things we shouldn't buy. For example, we're talking about shelters. Stop thinking about shelters. If you have to go there, the time would come when they have to tell you where the shelters are. And I want them to lose a word. The shelter is opened. Now the shelter is activated. Because a lot of us, even I myself, don't know what the meaning of activated. So I wouldn't call and say, which one opening? Is mine opening? People have to know what they're about. And don't spend excessive money and buy this and buy that. You don't have the money and you don't know when you will get it. So be very careful as to how you're spending. And bear in mind, the storm is expected. It's not compulsory that it must pass here. It's away from us now. As well as it could die or it could become more alive. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller. I would reply and say there's a saying that goes, better safe than sorry. I prefer to be prepared and nothing happens than not prepared and then I'm running helter-skelter. And in preparing for a storm or a hurricane, whether you use it because of the hurricane or you use it later, you would use it. Because you're buying tinned stuff and food and candles and batteries, you would eat it. Whether Gonzalo passes over the weekend or not, I would eat the corned beef at some point. I would need batteries for the flashlight to find something under the bed, so it's not going to waste. So I would beg to differ slightly. Let me see what is on WhatsApp. Somebody on WhatsApp says, further to an earlier caller, we also have used car dealers bringing in cars who have no parking. A man renting a small apartment with cars all over the road is so unfair. Another WhatsApper says, the garage owners who put old vehicles by the road and have them unpassable to fire and ambulances should be charged. I think it is incumbent on the ambulance drivers to list the number of the offender of the emergency vehicle and give it to the police. I agree with that one. Just was a few weeks ago I witnessed an ambulance having to reverse out of Mount Hartman because cars were blocking its path from getting to a fire further down inside Mount Hartman. It had to try to make the rungs through Lansapine. When that failed, it had to come back through Mount Hartman. That license plate number should have been forwarded to the police because you're hamburging scenes, as we say in Greens. Let me go back to the phone lines. Good morning.
Good morning, Blossom.
Morning.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. What I'm calling about is just a little concern. You know, sometimes when I see things that I want to know, when I can identify what it is, I still want to know and see if I could find somebody that can tell me. What is happening over about 5 to 6 weeks now? Where I live, I can stay. You hardly could see it under naked eyes. You've seen something like a boat sail or two boat sail. But what is going on there? Like most days, there are 2 or 3 oil tankers. I don't know if there's an oil spill. And there's this other large ship. It's like a big apartment buildings. Every day they're there, but they disappear. Like you cannot see them under naked eyes. Under naked eyes, what you see something like a little boat sail, 2 little boat sail, 3 little boat sail. But when you put binoculars and these kind of things on them, you've seen it. Up to yesterday, this morning I check it again. I've seen it. 2 little boat sail, but you can't see. You could see like 2 boat sail under naked eyes, small. But when you put binoculars on it, I don't know what is this large ship, like a big apartment building, but these oil tankers, over 6 weeks now, they're always there. They're disappearing and they're coming and going. I don't know if it's an oil spill or something. So I'd like somebody in the authority to check on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. Let me check the social media. WhatsApp. Somebody on WhatsApp says, I strongly believe that if everybody will keep the drains in front of their properties clean, we will alienate a great deal of flooding. Somebody else on WhatsApp says, I think everyone is responsible for cleaning in front of your small area, your drain, the grass example. That's how I know it doesn't wait on the authorities. We all should do our little bit when it's necessary. Thank you. Phone lines, good morning.
Hi, morning.
Good morning.
2 little things before I go into my substantive point.
and it has to do with two comments that was made on your program just a while ago. That issue that the lady you call Tanti has, I keep wondering if you cannot sue Green Lake for such a thing, because Green Lake is advertising all the time on the TV, radio, and whatever, that lines, branches of the place or that happen to be above lines should not be touched by, let's say, civilians, put it that way. Because it is their responsibility to take care of it, because they know how to maybe cut off the current or even walk with the current on, because they have particular protective materials that they can go and deal with it. And here, she's saying that they came to do something else, fix the place, fix the electricity for her. And she complained to them or pointed out to them, and they're saying that it's not their responsibility. I don't understand what I just said. It's amazing. Then that issue that the man pointed out with the ambulance the day the accident happened in West Hall. Actually, it seems like if it is the driver of the ambulance that was complaining in the morning on Shaggy program, that the guy drive from West Hall area down to the Woodlands roundabout before he was able to get away from the car, You see how far we're talking? From West Hall there, by the gas station apparently, right down to Woodlands. I mean, that guy should be charged. I mean, all he had to do is, to my mind, is bring the complaint to the police, and the guy should be charged. Because the law says that you should give way to ambulance and such emergency vehicles. Relative to the whole issue of preparation, I think preparation relative to a thing like that have a lot to do with a psychological state of mind. Your preparation has to be more in the mind, because especially in our given situation now, how much people have money to be able to go and stock up? For me, I'm as broke as can be. I can't even pay attention right now. That's to tell you how broke I am. I cannot go and stock up. But if I start to get jittery and flustered, I might find myself doing all kind of funny things. I might go and teach people things. I might go and do this, I might go and do that. That is so out of sync with reality, if you might put it like that. So a whole lot of that whole issue relative to the preparation as we need to do with the storm coming or hurricane has to do with your psychological state of mind. Relax yourself, and a whole lot of it has to do with how you will be able to handle the situation. Relative to the whole issue with what happened in Ivan, Grenadians could not have been so prepared for Ivan, because Ivan was not heading towards Grenada just about a day until it hit you. Ivan was directly heading to Barbados. I sat I was not in Grenada. I didn't experience any of the storm, the two hurricanes. And I sat on a chair looking at the TV. The storm was heading directly to Barbados until it reached about 100 and something miles, which was very close. And it would have striken maybe the next 3-4 hours.
Oh, okay.
But listen, it made an L. It made an L and came directly down and straightened up for Grenada. So Grenadians couldn't have been prepared. In a situation like now, where it is directly, heading, it's a lot better for us to be able to handle it. Take care.
Thank you very much, caller, for your participation. As we wrap up, let me quickly run through the social media. There was a comment on Facebook. Not Facebook, sorry. WhatsApp. Somebody on WhatsApp says, we don't need our people rushing to gas stations. Not necessary. After a hurricane, you can't be traveling because the roads need to be cleared by emergency people, so you can't drive your car. But the roads would be cleared eventually. After Ivan, it took approximately some days to a week. And then I would need the gas. And there's no guarantee that the gas station would be open that time. That would be all for this morning. I was looking for some information to confirm a piece of information that was just given to me. According to one source, as predicted, Tropical Storm Gonzalo has been upgraded to Category 1 hurricane status just a short while ago. However, according to Mr. McIntyre, that status is expected to be downgraded as the system gets closer to the southern Windward Islands. But for now, I am seeing that it is at a Category 1. Please continue to protect yourselves. We have COVID, and we have, well, now Hurricane Gonzalo making its way to us. Do what you need to stay safe. Once the information becomes available as it relates to hurricane shelters and all other information, we here at the GBN would continue to share with our viewers and listeners to ensure everybody is up to date with necessary information. That's the end of my time today. Thank you guys so much for participating. Joseph is up next with Mid-Morning Buzz. He'll take you through midday. Stay safe, stay healthy. God bless.